travel back to the thrilling World War II adventure of the Guns of Navarone, 1961, the epic film that brought together an unforgettable cast of Hollywood legends. From Gregory Peck's commanding presence to Anthony Quinn's intense charisma and the captivating Irene Papas, these actors left a lasting mark on cinema history. But what became of them in 2025? How did their careers, lives, and legacies unfold after the cameras stopped rolling? Join us as we uncover the fascinating stories, surprising turns, and lasting impact of the stars who made the Guns of Navarone a timeless classic. You might be shocked by what some of them did next. Gregory Peck, born on April 5, 1916 in San Diego, California, was 45 when he stepped into the role of Captain Keith Mallory in the Guns of Navarone in 1961, portraying a stoic, strategic Allied officer whose calm intellect and moral rigor made him the backbone of the perilous mission to destroy German artillery. Mallory's composed heroism and innate leadership captivated audiences, embodying the archetype of the morally upright, resilient man amidst chaos. Behind the silver screen, Peck's life was layered with contradictions and lesser-known complexities. He grew up in a strict household where early losses and financial insecurity created a deep sense of responsibility, but also nurtured a tendency to internalize emotion, rarely revealing vulnerability. His career, while lauded, was not free from turbulence. He was rumored to have had a brief but intense affair with Ingrid Bergman during Spellbound, a secretive episode that contrasted sharply with his otherwise disciplined public image. Peck's staunch opposition to the House Un-American Activities Committee in Hollywood drew ire and subtle professional pushback, threatening to sideline him during the politically charged 1950s. Despite a reputation for integrity, close friends noted moments of private stubbornness and perfectionism that sometimes alienated collaborators. His personal life, although seemingly stable, included subtle strains within his marriage and intense protective instincts toward his children, who recalled his demanding standards and high expectations. Peck endured profound personal struggles, including the death of mentors and colleagues, yet maintained a lifelong commitment to humanitarian causes and civil rights activism. He passed away on June 12, 2003, at the age of 87 from bronchopneumonia in Los Angeles, leaving a net worth estimated at $40 million derived from a combination of film royalties, real estate, and investments. His legacy endures as a study and contrasts the iconic upright hero on screen versus a man navigating the pressures of fame, private desire, and moral conviction with meticulous care. Anthony Quinn, born on April 21, 1915, in Chihuahua, Mexico, was 46 when he embodied Colonel Andrea Stavros in the Guns of Navarone, portraying a passionate, resolute Greek resistance fighter whose intensity, loyalty, and tragic backstory added dramatic gravitas to the mission's narrative. Stavros's fiery commitment and moral complexity resonated with audiences, reflecting the depth Quinn often brought to his roles. Off-screen, Quinn's life was as turbulent and colorful as his characters. Born into poverty, he endured a childhood marked by deprivation and social instability, which forged a resilience and fierce independence, but also a penchant for secrecy and self-protection. His career was prolific, yet punctuated by fiery disputes with directors and co-stars, reputedly stemming from his temperamental, uncompromising nature and demand for authenticity. Quinn's personal life was a whirlwind. Fathering 12 children across 3 marriages, he navigated public fascination and private chaos, with numerous affairs, occasional conflicts over custody, and rumors of scandal that he skillfully deflected while maintaining professional respect. He was also deeply engaged in civil rights activism and cultivated talents as a painter and sculptor, seeking outlets beyond the film industry. Health struggles, including respiratory issues, and the onset of cancer challenged his later years, though he continued to work with determination. Anthony Quinn died on June 3, 2001, at the age of 86 in Boston, Massachusetts, from complications of respiratory failure, pneumonia, and throat cancer, leaving an estate estimated at $20 million, derived from decades of acting artistic pursuits and prudent investments. His life was a testament to the duality of brilliance and chaos, a man whose on-screen intensity mirrored a private world of ambition, family complexities, romantic entanglements, and relentless pursuit of personal and artistic fulfillment. David Niven, born on March 4, 1910 in London, England, was 51 when he assumed the role of Corporal John Anthony Miller in the Guns of Navarone, bringing to life the dry-witted, understated explosives expert whose bravery and cerebral approach lent a subtle depth to the film's tension. Miller's humor and quiet heroism endeared him to audiences, offering a measured counterpoint to the high-stakes action around him. Niven's off-screen life, however, was marked by a blend of charm and concealed scandal. He grew up in a family riddled with financial difficulty and social expectation, navigating repeated teasing and ridicule that forced him to cultivate an effortless yet carefully constructed public persona. In his teenage years, he became involved in a secretive affair that led to a concealed abortion, a revelation that shadowed him with guilt and secrecy throughout his life. Professionally, Niven faced moments of instability, including near dismissals and critical slights, though his refined wit and relentless charm often smoothed over potential disasters. He served with distinction in World War II, earning accolades, but also witnessing horrors that left emotional imprints affecting his subsequent performances. His personal life was punctuated by fluctuating romantic entanglements, social intrigues, and tensions between maintaining public elegance and private authenticity. Niven ultimately struggled with declining health due to ALS, which curtailed his later years, but he remained a figure of elegance and wit until his death on July 29, 1983, at the age of 73 in Switzerland. His net worth at death was estimated around $5 million, reflecting a career balanced between lucrative acting contracts, careful investments, and residuals. While the public remembered Niven as a suave, debonair presence, his private narrative reveals a man negotiating secrecy, personal loss, and professional ambition beneath an effortlessly charming veneer. James Darren, born James William Ercolani on June 8, 1936 in Philadelphia, was 25 when he played Spyros Papademos in 1961, the impassioned and impulsive Greek resistance fighter whose charisma and emotional fervor added a vital layer to the ensemble of the Guns of Navarone. Darren's performance was informed by both youthful audacity and a precocious sense of professionalism, cultivated through early struggles in the entertainment industry. Raised in a working-class Italian-American household, he encountered poverty, ethnic prejudice, and parental criticism that instilled a duality of resilience and a keenly developed public charm to mask private insecurity. His career began in music producing chart-topping hits like Goodbye Cruel World, but he faced notable obstacles, strained relationships with record executives, disputes over contracts, and periods of professional stagnation that threatened his rising trajectory. In Hollywood, Darren was occasionally typecast as a heartthrob, which he resented, leading to tensions with producers and co-stars. Gossip circulated about behind-the-scenes power struggles, manipulation to secure screen time, and brief but heated romantic entanglements, though none escalated into formal scandal. Personal life was a delicate balancing act. He navigated marriages and partnerships that were sometimes strained by long work hours and public scrutiny, and friends noted periods of isolation and self-doubt despite outward success. Darren passed away on September 6, 2024, at age 88 from heart-related issues, leaving behind a multifaceted estate estimated at $10 million encompassing music royalties, film residuals, television earnings, and directing credits. His story is a testament to endurance, versatility, and the hidden costs of maintaining a public image while contending with early life hardships, professional volatility, and the private vulnerabilities behind a life of artistic achievement that spanned decades and mediums. Irene Papas was born on September 3, 1929, in Chiliomodi, Greece, and was 32 when she portrayed Maria Papadimos in The Guns of Navarone, 1961, a character who embodied fierce determination, unwavering loyalty, and moral complexity, most memorably demonstrated in her execution of the traitorous Anna, which left audiences both shocked and enthralled. Papas's childhood was marred by poverty, political instability, and the shadow of World War II. She grew up in a small village where resources were scarce. Her father was distant, and her mother struggled to maintain order, leaving young Irene vulnerable to ridicule from neighbors and peers, and teaching her early to suppress emotion and cultivate resilience. Entering the world of acting, Papas faced relentless obstacles, including typecasting and the pervasive gender biases of European cinema, which often forced her to negotiate roles that compromised her artistic vision. Off-screen, she was infamous for her intense temperament. Directors and co-stars reported clashes over performance blocking and creative interpretation, and whispers of a secret affair with Marlon Brando circulated for decades, hinting at a private life as passionate as it was discreet. She endured professional disappointments, including a high-profile dispute on a Greek set in the late 1950s that almost ended her burgeoning career. Yet her sheer talent and charisma propelled her forward. Her personal life included a series of discreet romantic liaisons, occasional public speculation, and the balancing act of maintaining privacy while navigating fame. In later years, she faced the gradual decline of health, but remained active in selective projects and cultural engagements, preserving a legacy that overshadowed financial accumulation. Papas passed away on September 14, 2022, at 93, reportedly due to age-related illness, leaving a modest estate valued over $1 million consisting of personal assets, royalties, and real estate, a sum that belied the immense cultural and cinematic impact of her life's work and the enigmatic mystique she maintained until her final days. James Robertson, Justice, was born on June 15, 1907, in London, England, and was 54 when he appeared as Commodore Jensen and served as the prologue narrator in The Guns of Navarone, portraying a pragmatic philosophical military strategist whose cynicism, moral authority, and subtle optimism anchored the film and provided both gravitas and narrative cohesion. Justice's early years were shadowed by family instability and emotional neglect. His parents demanded performance and social polish, but offered minimal affection, leading him to develop a persona of larger-than-life confidence and boisterous charm to mask deep insecurities. In adulthood, he cultivated a public identity as a multilingual adventurer, occasional political aspirant, and flamboyant actor, yet privately, he wrestled with grief from the accidental death of his young son and tumultuous romantic entanglements that fueled scandalous gossip. Justice's professional life was punctuated by both acclaim and setbacks, health issues in the early 1970s, limited acting opportunities, while his demanding, often domineering demeanor on set led to conflicts with directors and co-stars. Financial mismanagement and extravagant living eroded his wealth, leaving him bankrupt at the time of death, despite a celebrated career. He passed away on July 2, 1975, at 68, from complications following multiple strokes, leaving a legacy of indelible performances, commanding presence, and an outsized personality that belied a deeply vulnerable and turbulent private life. Justice's estate was minimal, highlighting the contrast between his on-screen authority and the fragility of his personal and financial circumstances, and underscoring a career that was as memorable for its brilliance as for the human struggles hidden behind his booming voice and charismatic veneer. Gia Scala, born Josephine Grace, Johanna Scolio, on March 3, 1934, in Liverpool. England was 27 when she portrayed Anna in The Guns of Navarone, a character whose vulnerability, silent suffering, and ultimate betrayal as a Nazi spy shocked audiences and added a haunting moral tension to the story. Scala's early life was fraught with dislocation and hardship. As the child of Italian immigrants, she navigated cultural displacement, economic deprivation, and a home environment that offered little emotional stability, forcing her to learn early how to conceal pain behind a veneer of charm and beauty. Her career initially promised stardom after she transitioned from modeling to Hollywood. Yet she faced a relentless combination of typecasting, studio politics, and personal insecurity, leading to fragile confidence and increasing dependence on alcohol and barbiturates. Rumors and unverified accounts suggested volatile relationships and affairs with high-profile men in the industry, and her brief troubled marriage to actor Don Burnett ended in divorce amid private turmoil. Scala's most devastating professional and personal failure came in the late 1960s, when repeated rejections combined with worsening substance abuse undermined both her mental health and her career prospects, creating a downward spiral from which she could not recover. The stress, depression, and addiction ultimately culminated in her tragic death on April 30, 1972, at only 38 from accidental ethanol and barbiturate intoxication. She left no significant estate, and her artistic legacy remains bittersweet. She is remembered as a hauntingly beautiful talent whose career was eclipsed by personal suffering, a cautionary emblem of Hollywood's unforgiving pressures on vulnerable performers, and a life of brilliance cut short by tragedy, private anguish, and unrelenting industry expectations. Anthony Quayle, born September 7, 1913, in Ainsdale, Lancashire, England, was 48 when he portrayed Major Roy Franklin in 1961, the stoic and principled officer whose injury and leadership tested the cohesion and moral fiber of the Navarone team. Quayle's gravitas on screen reflected both his classical stage training and his real-life wartime experience as an officer in the British Army, and a member of the Special Operations Executive, lending authenticity and intensity to his portrayal. Beneath this measured exterior, Quayle's personal history was marked by conflict and hardship. He grew up in a household strained by financial instability and parental absence, and as a youth faced repeated criticism for being physically unathletic and socially awkward, which fostered an early reliance on intellect and discipline. Career triumphs were interspersed with setbacks. He experienced tense moments with directors who found his military-style precision stifling, and endured a near-ruinous public incident when a controversial theatrical production he led received harsh press censure, temporarily threatening his reputation. Although Quayle maintained a largely scandal-free public life privately, he struggled with bouts of depression, partially stemming from the pressures of balancing artistic ambition with personal expectations and family obligations. Romantic and familial relationships were complex. Though married, he faced strains from frequent absences and the demands of his career, and there were whispers of extramarital attractions that never became public scandals, but colored his personal narrative. Quayle died from liver cancer on October 20, 1989, at age 76, leaving an estate valued between 1 to 2 million, reflecting decades of theater and film work, knighthood recognition, and property investments. His life was a careful navigation of intensity, intellect, and emotional restraint, producing performances of unwavering authority, while masking the private tensions that shaped him both as a man and an artist. Richard Harris was born on October 1, 1930, in Limerick, Ireland, and took on the role of squadron leader Barnsby in the Guns of Navarone in 1961 at the age of 31. Though his screen time was brief, Barnsby's grim report about the futility of bombing the enemy's guns showcased Harris's commanding presence and established him as an actor capable of intense magnetic performances. Harris's childhood was steeped in hardship. Growing up in a working-class Irish family, he faced both economic deprivation and a strict authoritarian father who frequently belittled his ambitions, forcing Harris to develop a stubborn independence and a fierce, often confrontational personality. His career was punctuated by both brilliance and controversy. Despite iconic roles in Camelot, A Man Called Horse and Gladiator, he was notorious for heavy drinking, a volatile temper, and explosive disputes with co-stars such as Marlon Brando, earning him a reputation as both brilliant and difficult to work with. One of his most serious professional setbacks came during the production of a high-profile stage adaptation of Camelot, where his erratic behavior nearly cost him the role, threatening to derail his burgeoning career. In his personal life, Harris endured turbulent relationships, including multiple marriages and highly publicized affairs, creating friction with children and partners alike, while battles with alcoholism exacerbated the instability. He experienced profound losses, including close friends in the acting community and health challenges that culminated in his death on October 25, 2002, at age 72 from Hodgkin's disease. At the time of his passing, his estate, including property holdings and royalties from films, was valued at approximately $20 million. Harris's legacy is one of unfiltered passion, a mixture of scandal genius and a raw vulnerability that made him both magnetic and deeply human, leaving a trail of stories and performances that continue to fascinate fans and colleagues alike. Stanley Baker, born February 28, 1928, in Ferndale, Glamorgan, Wales, was 33 when he played CPO Butcher Brown in 1961. Brown was the epitome of a hardened, no-nonsense commando, a man whose simmering aggression and relentless efficiency made him both indispensable and perilously volatile within the ensemble. Baker's performance drew from his working-class upbringing, where the harsh realities of post-war Wales demanded toughness and self-reliance, and from his brief but formative military service, which instilled a disciplined, almost rigid intensity. Yet off-screen, Baker's life was a study in contrasts, a commanding presence beloved by audiences, but notorious on set for fiery clashes with directors, producers, and occasionally co-stars, earning him the reputation of being both brilliant and temperamental. Childhood was marked by deprivation and constant struggle. He endured poverty, the death of extended family members, and social ridicule for his stocky frame and fierce demeanor, learning early to conceal vulnerability behind defiance. Career-wise, Baker's trajectory was punctuated by remarkable highs, including producing and starring in Zulu, but he also suffered professional frustrations, failed projects, disputes over creative control, and moments when his combative nature led to missed opportunities. He was known to smoke heavily, and according to friends, sometimes turned to alcohol to soothe stress after tense shoots. Personal life was turbulent. His romantic entanglements were occasionally fodder for gossip, with rumors of affairs and volatile relationships, though never fully substantiated publicly. Baker died prematurely of lung cancer on June 28, 1976, at age 48, just after being knighted, but before the ceremony, leaving behind an estate estimated at $500,000, comprising his property earnings from acting and producing and the legacy of his enduring screen persona, a man whose outward toughness masked private battles and a relentless drive to control his art and reputation. Alan Cuthbertson was born on April 7, 1920, in Perth, Western Australia, and took on the role of Major Baker in the Guns of Navarone in 1961 at 41 years old. Major Baker's character was emblematic of military bureaucracy, precise, cautious, and occasionally rigid, providing a foil to the film's audacious heroes while grounding the narrative in authentic wartime realism. Cuthbertson's childhood was marked by upheaval and discipline, raised in a family where emotional expression was discouraged and academic performance demanded, leading to a reserved and sometimes socially awkward demeanor that carried into adulthood. His career, though steady and respected, was shaped by typecasting. Frequently cast as officious or stiff authority figures, he sometimes struggled to break free into more varied roles, and there are reports that his meticulous nature and insistence on professionalism created friction with co-stars and directors on occasion. Personal life was quieter, but not without complexity, with marriages and family obligations balanced against a demanding stage and television schedule, creating occasional estrangement from close relatives. Health challenges emerged in later years, including cardiovascular disease, culminating in his death on February 8, 1988, in London at age 67 from coronary artery disease. At the time of his passing, Cuthbertson's net worth was modest, likely under $1 million, reflecting a career built on consistency and character work rather than stardom. Despite the absence of major scandal, his legacy endures through roles like Colonel Hall in Fawlty Towers and the measured gravitas he brought to wartime dramas, marking him as a consummate professional whose understated yet precise performances continue to resonate with audiences and industry insiders alike. Brian Forbes, born John Theobald Clark, on July 22, 1926, in Stratford, Essex, England, appeared in The Guns of Navarone in 1961 at the age of 35 as Cone, a minor but significant character who lent narrative depth to the ensemble. Forbes's character provided balance and subtle intelligence, quietly influencing the plot through observation and measured counsel, reflecting the actor's own analytical and multifaceted talents. Raised in a household affected by financial strain and parental emotional distance, Forbes faced early ridicule for his artistic ambitions, often masking vulnerability behind wit and intellectual precocity. His career was a roller coaster while celebrated for directing The Stepford Wives and penning acclaimed screenplays. He faced public clashes with colleagues, including notable disputes with William Goldman, and was repeatedly challenged by the limitations imposed by the British film industry. Forbes's personal life was equally complicated, marked by 2 marriages, long-term affairs, and the psychological toll of managing a high-profile creative career while contending with a debilitating diagnosis of multiple sclerosis in 1975. Despite these struggles, he remained a prominent figure in British cinema, both as an artist and an executive, earning respect for his creative vision, while often attracting quiet controversy over management decisions and interpersonal friction on set. He passed away on May 8, 2013, at age 86, after a prolonged illness, leaving behind a net worth estimated between $5 to $10 million accumulated through directing, writing, and producing. Forbes's story is one of intellectual ambition, entwined with personal and professional trials, revealing an artist whose brilliance was sometimes overshadowed by conflict and the relentless challenges of an unforgiving industry. Walter Gotell was born on March 15, 1924, in Bonn, Germany, and took on the role of Oberleutnant Muessel in The Guns of Navarone, 1961, at 37, portraying a stern, calculating Nazi officer whose presence added tension and authenticity to the wartime narrative. Gotell's career became defined by roles of authority and villainy, later transitioning into his famed portrayal of General Gogol in the James Bond franchise, demonstrating a capacity to evolve from antagonistic figures to complex allies with layered personalities. His childhood in Germany was marked by the turbulence of interwar Europe and familial economic uncertainty, fostering a disciplined, meticulous nature and a lifelong inclination toward privacy traits that would define both his work ethic and his social interactions. Professionally, he maintained a reputation for reliability and linguistic versatility, yet the pursuit of authenticity sometimes created tension on set. His intensity and insistence on rigorous preparation occasionally clashed with directors' visions, although these conflicts were discreet and rarely publicized. Personal life challenges included navigating displacement from his homeland, establishing a life abroad, and balancing professional ambitions with family obligations while also cultivating investments in engineering businesses and land ownership in Ireland, a diversification that reflected both caution and acumen. Gotell endured personal and professional struggles, quietly, including the pressures of typecasting and the physical toll of demanding roles, and lived as a somewhat reclusive figure despite public recognition. He passed away from cancer on May 5, 1997, in London at age 73, leaving an estate estimated between $2 to $3 million, a reflection not only of his acting achievements, but also of his successful ventures beyond the screen, securing a legacy that combined disciplined artistry with financial prudence and a careful private cultivation of wealth. Michael Trubshawe was born on December 7, 1905, in Chichester, Sussex, England, and appeared as Weaver in the Guns of Navarone 1961 at the age of 56, a role that, though minor, showcased his trademark dignified presence and aristocratic bearing within a film brimming with tension and heroism. Weaver was a supporting pillar among the ensemble of Allied commandos, bringing subtle gravitas that contrasted with the more overt action. Heroes and audiences responded to Trubshawe's refined delivery and understated charisma, which lent credibility to the wartime narrative. His early life, however, was far from the genteel facade he projected on screen. Born into a family of modest means, Trubshawe experienced periods of financial insecurity and social pressure that instilled in him a wry humor and a penchant for mischief as a coping mechanism, traits that would later surface in his off-screen reputation as a playful prankster in elite acting circles. Professionally, his career was defined by reliable supporting roles rather than stardom, and he faced the frustration of typecasting, with some directors dismissing him as too stiff or old-fashioned for more dynamic parts. His biggest professional disappointment came when a high-profile wartime drama he was cast in was recut, heavily reducing his scenes and undermining his performance. Personal life offered its own challenges, including strained family relationships and the pressures of maintaining social appearances, though he cultivated a circle of close friends, most notably David Niven, with whom he shared many private jokes and adventures. Trubshawe endured the passing of colleagues and the slow waning of opportunities with age, yet he retained his wit and charm until the end. He died on March 21, 1985 at 79, leaving behind a modest estate likely under $500 pound tuls, reflecting a career of steady, if understated, contributions to British cinema, a life quietly rich in camaraderie and artistic loyalty rather than financial extravagance. Thank you for joining us on this nostalgic journey through classic television history. If you enjoyed learning about the cast of Guns of Navarone, Guns of Navarone 1961 and where they are now, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, for more vintage Hollywood retrospectives and share your thoughts in the comments below. We love hearing your memories and suggestions, so let us know which TV show or movie cast you'd like us to feature next.